This Soonerscoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. Don't miss a moment on or off the field. Make every day a highlight with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs.
What a scene. Welcome back. Eddie Radosevich, George Stoya here from the Soonerscoop.com studios. Welcome to the Game Day Preview here on Soonerscoop.com's YouTube channel. Eddie Radosevich, he is George, and welcome in. We caught up with Brent Hubbs from VolQuest to get a little bit more on the Tennessee Volunteers heading into Saturday, and a 7:30 kickoff on the East Coast, 6:30 here locally on ABC. A tremendous scene it will be, as Brent kind of relayed. Looking forward to it at Neyland Stadium on Saturday night, George.
Yeah, hopefully Oklahoma can create some of that Sooner magic again that they had there in 2015. I think I told a story earlier this week, but watching the game over at Headington Hall, I remember, I lived there my freshman year, and all the players that don't travel would hang out and watch the away games in that theater room in Headington Hall, and I was in there, and I just remember, I think it was like Ricky DeBerry maybe, or a couple other guys just going crazy. Yeah. When they won that game, but Oklahoma, they could certainly use a little spark this weekend in Knoxville.
One of the many, I think just moments that Baker Mayfield would produce over the next 2-3 years for the Sooners, and certainly hoping that another transfer quarterback can kind of find it some 10 years later. That's certainly a storyline. Going back into last year, even with Josh Heupel coming back, haven't really talked a whole lot about Josh Heupel and just the matchup now going over to Knoxville after a little bit of a disappointing start to the SEC conference play last season.
Yeah, and he's done a tremendous job there. They're winning a lot of football games, made the playoff a year ago, looking to make it again this year. So it's a tremendous challenge for OU this week.
Plenty to get into. A tremendous challenge, especially on the defensive side of the ball, facing Joey Aguilar and the Tennessee offense. We'll get into Oklahoma defensively here. Before we do that, let us tell you about our good friends over at Lucy, the 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free Lucy breakers as well. The nicotine pouches with an extra surprise inside, each pouch holding a capsule that can be broken open to release extra flavor and hydration. What you can do if you're interested in getting Lucy delivered to your door, you can set up a subscription by going to lucy.co/Soonerscoop. Use the promo code Soonerscoop, and everybody around here has had a good time using the Lucy products. All you got to do, once again, get the subscription today. I know that Carrie and I both have signed up for it here to get delivered to the Soonerscoop.com offices, lucy.co/Soonerscoop. Use the promo code Soonerscoop for 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. And we also must tell you the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Thank you to our good friends over at Lucy. All right, let's get into it. Oklahoma certainly defensively got beat up a little bit, gave up some explosive plays. We'll talk about that here in a second, but just overall, it seems like this is a Tennessee offense that is clicking amongst one of the best in the country.
Yeah, Oklahoma is going to have their hands full, and I think for them to be successful, they're going to have to get after Joey Aguilar, because when he has time, he delivers. And he's got obviously a trio of wide receivers. They love to hit on the deep ball.
Sure.
It's much like that Jeff Lebby offense that Oklahoma had, where they're throwing it vertical down the field, and they're going to take some shots in this game. And if Oklahoma can get after Aguilar and stay tight in coverage, then I like Oklahoma's chances to slow them down. But this is another offense, Eddie, that there's going to be some times on Saturday that they're going to give up some chunk plays. This defense is, and so how do they respond from that? And don't allow don't allow too many big plays. It felt like this past week against Ole Miss, there was just too many. This week against Tennessee, they're going to want to score from afar, and if Oklahoma can keep from that many big plays happening, then I think they can give their offense enough chance to win this one.
Certainly seems like Oklahoma possibly will be without Gentry Williams again this week. And when you look at Cortland Guillory and kind of the way that he's played as a freshman, obviously bouncing back from the Auburn game against Cam Coleman. On the other side, Eli Bowen, Jacoby Johnson's gotten to run here as of late. Those guys on the edges certainly going to be important, as well as the back end, where the safeties gave up some plays last weekend.
Yeah, I think especially those corners, they're going to be tested. A Cortland Guillory, a true freshman, he's going to be tested against these receivers, and he's going to have to play extremely well. Eli Bowen as well, it feels like he's really playing pretty well since he's come back from the injury. And you said it, I mean, Oklahoma plays a lot of guys back there at safety. You know, Jaden Hardy, Michael Boganowski, obviously Robert Spears-Jennings and Peyton Bowen, those guys are going to have to play extremely well. Same at the cheetah position. This feels like a game that, you know, Reggie Powers is going to get tested when he comes in that nickel spot and has to cover. So all those guys in the secondary, this is a massive, massive game. And I would say even, you know, probably a bigger challenge than it was a week ago against Ole Miss.
Bob Brisbilla wrote about Cortland Guillory. We'll get to him here in a second. Let's hear first from a number of the Oklahoma defenders, as well as Brent Venables, about the matchup with Tennessee.
Joey Aguilar's done a fantastic job. He's helped their offense just be incredibly efficient and explosive. He's thrown the deep ball with great accuracy, and he's allowed them to kind of stay on schedule really through all 8 games. He's been fantastic for them, and they've got excellent receivers led by Chris Brazel. 2 years ago, I think he transferred there, but he's big, long, fast. They got 3 guys that can really go up and get it, and then Deshaun Bishop is an excellent running back, tough, physical, really good. Defensively and offensively, they've got both coordinators back, and Tim Banks and Joey Halsey, and they're just doing a fantastic job. They got a really good football team right now, and going to present a great challenge for us.
I mean, yeah, it's always fun to be in a big crowd like Tennessee or any game in the SEC, you know. But you know, it'll be fun. Can't wait. A lot of fans on Halloween. You know, it'll be great.
One game at a time mentality, and just keep going. We can't like disperse, point fingers, do all the things that I've seen be done in previous years, and we just can't waver. I mean, we're a very talented group. I think we're a top team in the country, and we just have to go show it week in, week out, and just go win those games.
Yeah, we just have to get them to really sit and think about what they want to do next. You know, they're one of those tempo teams like Ole Miss. Really, our main goal is to stop them. So if we get more stops, they have to think about more plays, essentially. But yeah, that's kind of like the ideal situation you want for trying to stop any offense, just to stop them first, second, third down, get them off the field.
Yeah, they're a good team, and I mean, they've played everybody close. The Alabama game was an emotional loss for them, to be honest, because they had 2 very close red zone opportunities to tie the game, and then before half that they threw the pick 6 on. And so, like watching those games, and their even Georgia game where they had a chance to win at home, it's just like they're a good group. They played us really good last year, and I mean, we just gotta be ready for their tempo offense, and their receivers are really good. Brazil, and then 14. I forgot his name. He's a good player though. I'm not throwing away from him. But I mean, they're great. They're top 5. Both of them are top 5 in the SEC for receiving yards. So I mean, we just got to stop their pass game. They like to run a lot to set up the pass. We just got to stop the big plays. That's what hurt us last week was explosives, and we're putting an emphasis to that this week as well.
Like similar to Ole Miss, they like to throw the ball. You know, it'll be a fun day for me and my guys to go out and play ball. You know, that's it. But definitely, since my first day here, Coach Villar always told us, you know, have our eyes on our man when we in coverage, because, you know, the run freeze, that's not our job most of the time. So, you know, my eyes definitely stay on my man. I never get too curious. Yeah.
As we heard from, or as you will hear from Brent Hubs, certainly when you're talking about a offense just as a whole, Joey Aguilar's fit in quite well with Tennessee. Obviously coming off of a suburb that Nico leaves, and then you're like, where the hell are they going to go? They got 3 wide receivers, though, that are going to give Oklahoma. They've given a lot of teams trouble already this year. Chris Brazell, Braylon Staley, Mike Matthews. It's just kind of those three guys, but they've been extremely productive for Josh Heupel.
And I'm really interested, how does Brent Venables attack this? Does he try to bring pressure and get after Joey Aguilar?
Sure.
Or do you try to do some different stuff on the back end and coverages and try to confuse Joey Aguilar and, double team some of these guys, or have an extra safety for help? Like, there's so many different ways to attack this. I don't know what the best way is. I'm sure Brent Venables will come up with whatever that is, but I think Tennessee leads the country in explosive passing plays this season, like passing plays over 20 plus yards. So they're going to take some shots, man. And those guys, they're really big too. I think which one is it that the big tall receiver? Brazell. I mean, he'll go up and get a couple. I think it was against Georgia that he had a couple huge plays in that game. And
Aguilar's not scared to just throw it up.
Just throw it up.
Let him make a play. And he's delivered some, as you've heard. And probably watched the Kentucky game a week ago. He was fantastic.
Yeah. So I think that you wish Oklahoma's offense would do that every once in a while. But I think that it's going to be a huge test for these corners, and especially a young guy like Cortland Guillory.
And not only when you do give up, because you feel like you are going to give up some plays. You're going to give up a couple of explosive plays. It's about limiting it and then getting off the field, certainly, every opportunity that you can.
Yeah, I mean, last week, the third downs were just killer.
Yeah.
That was a big problem, and they would get them into third and long, and I think they're going to be able to get Tennessee into some third and longs as well this week. Can you get off the field? Can you not have a costly penalty in a big moment? And, can you force an incompletion or get a sack in a big moment when they're going to have to pass the ball? I think that's kind of the big question for this defense.
Here's a little bit more. You heard Peyton Bowen talking about the importance of limiting the explosive plays to the Tennessee offense. Brent Venables, as well as Peyton Bowen, with a little bit more on that subject.
Yeah, I mean, you could, there's lots of things that you can do. You don't know when they're coming, always, obviously, what concepts and things of that nature are coming, but you can sit back and protect them on the goal line, and that sounds like a good plan, but then they throw the ball underneath, and it turns into a short catch, turns into an explosive play. We had 5 of them on offense, and they had 8, including a couple of runs. And when actually this year, I think last year we were in the 70s in the country in explosive plays given up, and this year we're top 5 in the country, least amount of explosive plays. So we've made a tremendous amount of improvement. And as I pointed out, some of those plays were the explosive plays I was talking about, and where we need to be a little better. This is football. They're going to always be a part of it. You want to limit them. That's the ideal. Teams that win the explosive play battle are going to give themselves an opportunity to win the game. And that's not certainly the only category, but one that we put a lot of time on staying on top of the football, both in run defense and pass defense.
Yeah, just have to keep our rush lanes. We have to keep our lane integrity, especially for guys that can wiggle around. Smaller guys that can run faster. So it's like Tennessee quarterback has some of that too. So for us to just keep our pass rush lanes, make sure we contain them, don't let them out the pocket, we'll be good.
I mean, you just got to prepare day by day. Like Coach V always says, you win the games on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Friday. And so every day you just got to come in with that mentality of that, like, this dude is that guy that you're going to be facing. And that's why the scout team is so important, and they've given us so much help throughout week by week basis that they give us that good of a look.
Certainly, you talk about Peyton Bowen on the back end, and then obviously Art Mason Thomas. Those have kind of been the go-to guys when Oklahoma finds their backs up against the wall for this defense. Certainly, it's imperative that you play well on Saturday night just to give yourself a chance.
And create some turnovers, damn it. If you can get a couple turnovers in this game and not turn the ball over, win the turnover battle.
Things, doesn't it?
On the road, like that's how you give yourself a chance, is if you can, give the ball back to your offense, especially in a game where it feels like the offense should be able to score some points. If this defense can come up with a couple turnovers, that would be massive.
And we've talked about it, but Brent Venables, historically, just against something of a Josh Heupel offense. We saw it a year ago. They were able to force a turnover. They got off the field holding Tennessee for 6 of 19 on third down. We won't mention that Oklahoma went 3 for 15 on third down offensively, but you can give yourself certainly a better opportunity if you play well defensively and soundly, which for the most part, I know that there's a lot of people, including myself a little bit on the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast, that, kind of pointed at the defense for giving up an 11-play, 75-yard touchdown a week ago in the fourth quarter after getting the lead. It does seem, though, that this defense is going to be able to get some stops. They should have some success. It's how much can you do it and how much can you limit Tennessee and Joey Aguilar.
Yeah, and just playing complementary football, right?
Sure.
Like if the defense is out there getting stops, the offense has to take advantage. And if the offensive is scoring and keeping you in the game, the defense has to come up with stops late. And, odds are in the fourth quarter, the offense is probably going to need to go on a drive, and the defense is probably going to need a stop. And those are the moments that you have to hope that they come up big. And I trust this defense still. They gave up the long drive a week ago, but they also, in that same fourth quarter, got a couple stops.
Sure.
They got the ball back to Oklahoma in their offense. So
easy to overlook, too, when you're so focused on what the offense wasn't able to do.
And everybody likes to, bitch and moan about the offense. The defense, they didn't play well either. So I think, again, it's what it goes back to that we talk all the time. Got to play complementary football, especially on the road.
No doubt about it. All right, before we get into our interview with Brent Hubbs from VolQuest.com, let us tell you about Game Time, gametime.co. All you got to do is download the app even, create an account, use the code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Very, very simple process, George.
Yeah, it's easy to go on there, see where your seats are going to be at, and they've always got great prices. I'm actually looking at, so you can see there, the Tennessee game. If
this
you're going to Knoxville.
This is not a cheap ticket for anybody.
No, I mean, you're paying a lot. What is it, $200-something is the cheapest ticket. But hey, if you want to go to the Thunder game tonight, $17 at Paycom. How about this? You don't want to watch the Thunder game or the Oklahoma game on Saturday night, which I don't know why you'd be watching this program. You can go to NBA Youngboy for $179.
I think I'm going to stick with the college football experience, but then again, all you need to do is go to gametime.co or download the Game Time app, create an account, use code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem using the code ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today, and we will now go to our interview with Brent Hubbs from VolQuest.com. We now welcome in Brent Hubbs from VolQuest, and certainly a game of intrigue. It certainly seems like both of these fan bases have little belief in either team, but just kind of set the stage for us, because I know that one thing that we picked up on social media this week, Neyland at night seems like something that, regardless, if you're just a college football fan, you'll want to say that you've been a part of at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that Tennessee has really branded themselves with and marketed themselves with the last few years. The dark mode uniform, which is the all-black uniform that Tennessee, the players love, fans have embraced over time. It's a great look, in my opinion, because it's a one-off. They don't wear them multiple times. It's just a big night game uniform. They have targeted this game for dark mode all year long. So when the SEC exercised a 6-day window and there was a potential 3:30 start in there, everybody went, whoa, wait a minute, no, this is supposed to be the night game. So fireworks, light show, all the things that your event management people live for. It's a good show, and this Tennessee fan base needs to be revved up. They need to help this football team, particularly on the defensive side.
Brent, tell us about this football team, because I feel like it's kind of been up and down, a lot like Oklahoma in some ways, a couple of disappointing losses, but to good opponents. Oklahoma obviously loses to Texas, which I think a lot of OU fans were upset about.
Still.
Ole Miss, who I think is a good football team, but Tennessee losing to Georgia and Alabama, one at home, one on the road. Just what is the feeling in Knoxville right now about this Tennessee football team?
Well, they love the offense, and the offense is on a record-setting pace. I mean, Joey Aguilar's he's averaging more yards a game in SEC play than Hendon Hooker did in 2022, which was a record-setting offense for Tennessee. He leads the SEC in passing. He's a really good story. I'm a little surprised nationally he's not been a bigger story to this point. But he got here in May, and he's really taken off with this offense. The receivers are playing well. The challenge for this team is defensively they're not what anybody thought they would be. Jermod McCoy, Tennessee's starting corner, who had an interception in this game last year, is not back. He will not play in this game. Tore an ACL back in January. If Tennessee stays in the playoff hunt, he's going to play in November. If they don't, then we'll see what he elects to do. But I think, right now the hope is that he might knock the rust off against New Mexico State in 2 weeks, but they're not going to have him this week. Tennessee lost Ricky Gibson, their other starting corner from a year ago, so they played without him. So they're playing with a freshman in Ty Redmond, and they're playing with Colton Hood, who transferred in from Colorado. Now, Hood's been exceptional, but Redmond's been a freshman. He's had his freshman moments. Tennessee's not been as good at the safety position as people thought they would be. They rushed the passer really well early. They've only got one sack the last 2 games. The taste right now is tough because they gave up a ton of yards, nearly 500 yards to Kentucky. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. What? The defense is going the wrong direction, not the right direction. They're averaging about 12 missed tackles a game. They just did not play well a week ago on the road against Kentucky. The question is, can they bounce back this week? Offensively, Tennessee feels like they can score a lot of points, and so do their fans, and they have. I mean, that's the reason that they're still in this thing, is because they've been able to outscore some people. They outscored Georgia till they missed the kick at the buzzer. If they make the kick at the end of regulation and they win that game in a walk-off,
sure,
then it's a one-loss team, and we're all talking about Tennessee in a different fashion.
Yeah,
totally different. And that's college football in a nutshell right now. It comes down to 1 or 2 plays here. If you don't throw the pick 6 at the end of the first half against Alabama, what does that game look like? We don't know. But they had a chance to walk it off at home against Georgia and missed the kick.
No doubt about it. Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball. Joey Aguilar, as you said, arriving in May, just the weirdness that everything that went into that quarterback change in Knoxville. What's just kind of his calling card, just in terms of what has he done so well to acclimate himself within this offense for Josh Heupel, and then obviously using the skill positions around him?
Well, I think the first thing he did is he just came in and put his head down and went to work. He didn't do any interviews. He didn't anoint himself arrived or anything like that. He really just kind of got to know his teammates and just went to work. And I think that's when you're 24 years of age, you have a different level of maturity about all this than somebody who's younger does. And he's handled this very maturely. He's a quick learner, obviously, has picked up this offense well over the summer. Joey Halsley, Tennessee's quarterbacks coach, has done a terrific job with him. He's just tough. I mean, he's a competitor. Is he the greatest practice player you're ever going to watch? No. We saw enough routes versus air in August, and you're like, wait a minute, none of these quarterbacks are completing anything right now. But he gets out there in game day, and he raises his level of play. I mean, he was 7 for 7 last week on balls that traveled 20 yards or more in the air. And it wasn't like his receivers bailed him out with a bunch of leaping catches. Like, he dropped 7 dimes in on vertical passing throws a week ago, and that's why Tennessee put up 56 points. Kentucky said, we're not sure you can do it consistently, and he said, watch me, and he did. He went 7 for 7, which was pretty amazing.
Brent, tell us about some of the guys around him. Obviously, he's got a trio of wide receivers that are having monster years around him. But tell us about the run game as well and the protection, because it seems like he hasn't been under a ton of pressure this year either.
He's only been sacked 6 times. 5 of those have come the last 2 games, which is a bit concerning. He was sacked 4 times at Alabama, once last week against Kentucky. The one against Kentucky was just a straight miscommunication between the back and the right guard. So he's been protected pretty well. They've leaked out a little bit the last 2 weeks, and that's a concern when you look at Oklahoma's front coming in. Is there something going on there? They rotated really heavily on the offensive line in the first half against Alabama. Not as much in the second half. They didn't rotate as much last week. David Sanders is 5-star plus all-world right tackle who's getting his feet wet. He missed the first month of the season due to a shoulder injury. He's really talented, and he's playing better with each passing game. But that move to him at right tackle has slid Jesse Perry, a redshirt freshman, in from right tackle to guard. Perry's been better at tackle than he has been at guard, so he's still getting acclimated there. That's going to be a key thing to watch in this game. Can Tennessee hold up in the pass protection up front? Run game, it's been solid, not great, not as good as it was a year ago with Dylan Sampson. Deshaun Bishop's a nice back. He's done good things. Star Thomas is a transfer from Duke who's done good things. They haven't moved people as well as they did a year ago for whatever reasons. They had 106 or 108 yards rushing last week against Kentucky, but Nearly 70 of them were in the fourth quarter, so it's a little bit hollow in terms of the yards because Kentucky was done at that point. Tennessee's got to run it better, no doubt. They ran it well against Arkansas, but everybody's run it well against Arkansas, so that one doesn't really count. But Tennessee's got to find some footing there. Where they've been better than anybody thought other than quarterback has been at the wide receiver spot. Chris Brazzell is a guy who was on this team a year ago as a transfer from Tulane. He was okay. He's really elevated his game and has really taken off. He's a vertical guy, and the deep ball accuracy from Aguilar has really helped his numbers and really helped his success. They've got to get him involved. Lots of teams have rolled coverage to his side to kind of take him away. Alabama played a lot of deep safety coverage to try to take the deep ball away, so they threw it underneath to the slot receiver, Braylon Staley, who had 10 catches. Staley's a much better version of Squirrel White, got more size, got more athletic ability, in my opinion. And then Mike Matthews is a five-star guy that is in his second year in the program as well. All three of these guys have made that first year to second year jump, and the quarterbacks made them all better.
Yeah.
I think the most amazing thing is really those three guys. Obviously, they add in the tight end, Miles Kitzelman, I believe is how it's pronounced. It seems like those are the four, though. Like, they get a ton of work, and obviously with the tempo, it's hard to sub. But is that what it has been? Is relying really on 3-4 guys, and they've been kicking ass the entire season.
Yeah, those three receivers they've been the bell cow. And one of the off-season topics here was a lot of gnashing of the teeth about why didn't Tennessee go to the portal and get a wide receiver in the portal. They went after a couple big-name guys. They didn't land anybody. They didn't like anybody else, so they stayed pat with what they had, and we're going to ride with two freshmen as kind of their core five receivers. Travis Smith's from Georgia, highly recruited guy. He's been battling a leg injury, hadn't played in 3 or 4 weeks. Rodarius Jackson is another freshman who they just got back last week from a broken collarbone. He had 1 catch. So the workload, the onus of all this has fallen on 3 guys. Now, Tennessee's done that early in Josh Heupel's tenure in 21 and 22. They just played 3. It's like, hey, just keep running, fellas. Just keep running. And they played more bodies last year, but they were going to play more this year. But because of some of the injury things, they've been down to 3. They're kind of back to 4 with Rodarius Jackson being a guy who could spell. He won't play 25 snaps, but you could spell a little bit here and there. But it's really those big 3, and I think they're okay with it. They get tired, but they like the rock being thrown their way, and they're getting a lot of balls thrown their way for sure.
Brent, tell us about this defense. You mentioned it earlier, had some issues in the secondary, some injuries and things of that nature, but what is it about this defense that has maybe struggled? And at the same time, they forced a lot of turnovers. I think they've also scored like 5 defensive touchdowns or something crazy. So maybe not statistically the best in terms of, rushing numbers or passing numbers or whatever, but they are creating some turnovers.
It's feast or famine.
Yeah.
And when they put it together, they look really good. And you go, man, this defense is really good. And then you look up and they've given up a 70-yard touchdown because they misfit a wide receiver screen. That should have been a 3 or 4 yard gain. It went for 71 against Kentucky. And then they fall asleep in man coverage at the star position and get run by on another deep ball for a 50-yard touchdown. It's literally been feast or famine. I mean, you go back to Mississippi State, Tennessee wins that game in overtime. Tennessee scores 2 defensive touchdowns. They have a pick 6, and they have a scoop and score. They got lucky because Mississippi State overthrew a wide open wide receiver, and they hit another one, but the quarterback turned him around enough that he fell down after he caught the ball, or it would have been a walk-in. So there's good, and then when it's good, it's really good. But when it's bad, man, it can be big play bad. So somebody's band seems to be playing a lot for Tennessee. They have not tackled in space nearly as well as they need to, and that's the biggest key for this one is can they tackle enough in space? Can they handle a mobile quarterback? Taylon Green, rushed for 86 yards. I understand he and Mateer are different type runners, but they both are running quarterbacks. They can use their legs. Cutter Boley last week had 31 yards rushing. So now you got to deal with that, and Tennessee struggled with that a little bit with some gap fits up front. Rodney Garner, Tennessee's veteran defensive line coach, said it best this week when he met the media, and it was just very blunt. He said, "We're not playing well enough at any of the 3 levels. It's not, hey, the front's doing their job, but you're not getting it done in the back end. It's not, hey, the linebackers are doing their job, but you're not getting it done up front." All 3 levels are not playing to the standard that everybody expects right now, and that's got to change if Tennessee's going to be where they want to be, and that is remaining in the hunt in the month of November.
Through the Oklahoma lens, certainly the play of Oklahoma's offensive line will be, I think, intriguing. Probably likely starting 2 freshman tackles. Defensive line-wise, what should Oklahoma fans kind of expect from the Vols up front?
Multiple. Going to play a lot of bodies. Going to play a lot of people. Joshua Joseph is a rush-in who's had a really nice year. He's not finished at the quarterback as well as he would like to have the last couple of weeks. He's gotten some pressure. Tennessee's gotten a little bit too far upfield at times and kind of let the tackle push him by and sort of taking themselves out of the play. They need a better inside push to kind of squeeze the pocket a little bit more. So they need more out of their tackles in terms of rushing the quarterback. But you got Tyree West on one side. You got Joshua Joseph. You got Caleb Herring. They got about 6 guys who can rush the quarterback off the edge pretty effectively. They just haven't done it as well the last couple of weeks because, again, they've just gotten – they haven't done much inside. Much of their stuff has been really hard outside rushes, and they've just kind of been shoved behind the quarterback. So that inside pressure's got to come and certainly help there as well. And if you're Tennessee, looking at it through the Tennessee lens, 2 freshman tackles on the road in a night game, you're hoping that maybe you can make it 1st and 15.
Sure.
Or make a 2nd and 7, 2nd and 12 because somebody does something pre-snap. That's what you're trying to get done. And that's what, Tennessee's hoping out of their crowd this week.
Brent, obviously, we all expect this probably to be another close game, 1-score game that we see across the SEC. A lot of times special teams can be the turning point or, a moment in a game. What's it look like special teams-wise so far for Tennessee this year?
Well, they're going to fair catch the kickoff, so you don't have to worry about that one. I think they've got 1 kickoff return this year.
OU's return 2.
Yeah, it's like, hey, why are we wasting this play? You know what I mean? It's just like, just put it down and go play. It's like when you're in the backyard, 1st and 10 at the 20. We don't even worry about any of that. So Tennessee's not going to do much in the kickoff return game. In the punt return game, Boo Carter can be electric. He's not gotten many opportunities the last few weeks. They've just faced good punters, guys who have hung it up and, have really prevented the opportunity for a return. I think he's tried 1 return in the last 2 games and it went for 6 yards. He's got a couple of 30-yard returns this year, so he can be really good if somebody kicks one low enough to him to give him a chance. He just hasn't had many opportunities. Tennessee's punter Jackson Ross has been around for a while. He's an Aussie. He can punt it right-footed. He can punt it left-footed. He can punt it straight. He can punt it rugby style. Lots of times he will catch it and sort of shuffle rugby style to one direction and just kind of wait as long as he can and then hang it up there, which helps prevent returns. They've not given up much in the kickoff return or in the punt return game at all. And then Josh Turbeville's their kickoff guy, and he's generally kicked it through the end zone. So I don't think that the kicking game in terms of returns are going to present a lot of opportunities. Now, can somebody block a punt? Does somebody run a fake? Mississippi State got Tennessee on a fake punt that they didn't capitalize on, but they caught Tennessee napping there. So can somebody steal some yards with a trick in special teams? That would seem more likely than with the set of kickers that both these teams have. I don't think anybody's leaving a lot out there for somebody to go get.
Last but not least, what are kind of just the returns on Josh Heupel as of now? 6-2, obviously. I don't think it's as hot of a seat as maybe Brent Venables is certainly on, and wouldn't even say that he's on a hot seat by any means. But just it seems like with the offense, things have gone pretty damn well for Josh Heupel with something of a turmoil throughout the summer with the quarterback situation.
Well, I mean, they've answered the bell offensively really well. Obviously, that's gone terrifically. There's disappointment with where this defense is and how this defense played last week. The defense didn't play great against Alabama. They only gave up 28 points when you take out the 9 that the offense gave up. But they've got to get more stops on defense. They've not gotten off the field on 3rd down enough. I think the unrest, if you will, is more about, okay, what's your year 5, where are you defensively? They were really good defensively a year ago. I mean, they got in the playoffs a year ago because of the defense. That's right. The sole reason they were in the playoffs, because they were not very good offensively. Defensively, they've taken a much bigger step back this year than anyone thought. Offensively, they've really tweaked some things. They've kind of enhanced and done some different things. They're not as, I won't say predictable, but they're formation-wise doing some different stuff. They look a little bit different. So there's happiness there, and I think when you look around and see everybody else that's making changes like crazy, you kind of go, where you're sitting at right now is not the worst thing in the world, because who's going to Penn State?
Sure.
Yeah.
Who's going to Florida? Who's going to LSU? You could be in a lot worse shape than you are. I mean, if they make the field goal against Georgia, this conversation's, you're not even asking this question.
Of course.
And that's college football, right? If you just make the kick, and I'm not trying to pick on the kid, but if you make the kick, it's a win-loss team, and they're in everybody's football playoff projection poll right now.
Yeah.
Instead, you're sitting there at 2 losses, and you've got to win out to have a chance to be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Last one. I think a lot of OU fans are making this trip. I think this is one that a lot of fans circled. Where's the must-stop, must-go place in Knoxville if there's some OU fans making this trip?
Well, I would just suggest that you take in, and I don't, every fan's different, but I would say take in just the Neyland Drive along the river where the boats are. Just see it,
Sure.
You kind of walk around campus and do those things. One of the tourist stops, if you will, is Calhoun's on the River, which is a barbecue place. It's been there forever. It's barbecue. You guys live in a barbecue town, so I don't know that that's going to move anybody's needle that way. Gus's Good Time Deli is a staple on Tennessee's campus. It's right off Tennessee's campus, and it's just kind of a sandwich shop that is Tennessee to the core. I just take it in. I mean, the Navy's different, and it won't be as big this week because the weather's starting to turn. But there's not a lot of places where you go and there's, a bunch of boats lined up with people having a tailgate on it, and they're just going to get off the boat and walk across the street into the stadium. There's only 2 places in the world or in the country you can do that in college football, Washington being the other. So that's unique. That's kind of Tennessee's unique thing. And then, again, I think the dark mode night game presentation is pretty spot on. Of course, Oklahoma was here, that checkerboard game where Baker Mayfield broke off the Hearts. That was a great atmosphere. It's one of the best atmospheres Tennessee's had. Tennessee's fan base should respond that way in this one, and Tennessee's administration and coaches are certainly hoping that they will be and bring that kind of noise Saturday night.
Even 10 years later, the trip to Knoxville for Oklahoma fans, certainly one that is talked about. He is Brent Hubbs with VolQuest.com, and looking forward to it on Saturday night. We really appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks, Brent.
Very, very, very excited for this scene up at Neyland
awesome.
Stadium. As I said, I was telling Brent there in the interview, it seems like this is one that people are definitely excited about. You saw the ticket prices on Game Time even.
I'm also back in on dark mode. I know I haven't been negative. I guess I have been a little negative about it.
I think that they truly do embrace.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. And the light show and the fireworks, that'll be really cool. And hopefully not too many fireworks for Oklahoma. They hope that there's not too many going on Saturday night, but I think it'll be an awesome atmosphere.
A lot of eyeballs going to be on this one too, with just everything from a national perspective with the primetime kickoff. Before we get into the offensive side of the things for Oklahoma offensively, let us tell you about our good friends over at Tushy. And George, this is a product that you've had plenty of experience with. You've already installed at the Stoya home. What is your experience with Tushy like?
It's been awesome. It's kept me clean down there. And then I think the one thing that I would say is that it's super easy to put together and assemble. I know that a lot of people out there maybe be discouraged of the plumbing and all that, but super easy process.
This is daily decadence with practical benefits. Over half the people who washed with Tushy soothed their hemorrhoids, and 9 out of 10 people reduce itching and discomfort, which is a really good deal. All you got to do is go to hellotushy.com/SoonerScoop. You see the URL there on the screen. And remember, a-hole is only a dirty word if you wipe. For a limited time, our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use code SoonerScoop at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code SoonerScoop. Thank you to the fine people of Tushy.
Shout out.
I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm not happy with this offense. How are we going to look at this thing to be fixed? Talking about John Mateer. We talked about it a little bit on Tuesday, and we'll go to the video here in a second, but it certainly seems like if Oklahoma, you can talk about the defensive side of things, if he does not play better, you're not going to have much of a chance, which there is opportunity. As you heard from Brent Hubbs, Tennessee defensively has been a little bit in flux this year.
Yeah, and even simple stuff like he was talking about a screen pass. Like that's the kind of stuff Oklahoma needs to connect on. It's not always just the big play down the field. That would be great, and I think there's going to be opportunity for that. But I think this is about Mateer and Arbuckle, getting him comfortable and getting him back to like we saw earlier in the year and building up his confidence. And whether that's easy throws or simplifying some stuff or running the football more often than they did this past week, I think all of those things are going to be huge this week. And, I still think that Mateer can improve upon, obviously, the bad eyes and footwork and all of that. I think he needs to get through his progression a little bit quicker than maybe he is. We heard them talk about that this week. So I expect him to play better, but it's just a really tough spot on the road. Maybe that brings the best out of him. We've seen that before, but I think that this is going to be a really tough spot, especially with the crowd, and we'll get into the communication stuff here at the end of the show, but it's a big moment for John Mateer.
It certainly seems like if you could look at like two phrases that were cliches in talking to obviously John Mateer on Monday night as well as Ben Arbuckle on Tuesday, you're talking about eyes and footwork. We talked about it on Tuesday, but that's the bit here going into Knoxville, going into Neyland Stadium this weekend. Here is John Mateer, Ben Arbuckle talking about just that.
I mean, I think they do a great job, and they coached me through it, and we've had conversations yesterday, today, and Saturday, and about all of us moving forward together. I'm obviously not gonna point a finger. It's definitely not his fault. I think he called a good game, and I think he put us in good situations. And the players, I didn't execute, so it makes everybody look bad, and that's all it is.
You talked about your eyes and maybe not seeing the field as well as you maybe should be. Is it a confidence thing? Does the thumb play into that at all?
No, I don't think any of it plays into it. I think in this offense, you got to be real disciplined to where your eyes go and what you see, and it's pretty simple. It's just more simple offense than a lot of that's around college football, and so I need to just get it done. Be more disciplined to my reads and my eyes. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing is being disciplined with your eyes and your footwork. Your eyes and your footwork, they win, and that's in any offense. That's my system, anybody's system. Eyes and footwork at the quarterback position, they always win, and timing wins. But that goes back to your eyes and footwork. And the best way that I can help him is at practice, and it's just demanding it out of him, and demanding perfection. You're never going to get it, but just demanding it. Hey, this drop, be perfect with it. Hey, it's covered over there. Get your eyes off of it quicker. It's fine. Go on to the next one. If it's not there, don't hang on to it trying to make something happen. And that's how I can be better for him, just specifically out at the practice field. But, the other way I can be better for him is, again, I'm always instilling confidence in him, always instilling belief in him. And he has no shortage of confidence. He knows that myself and Coach Venables believe in him to the nth degree. But, just reminding him of that, but demanding excellence at practice.
You had critics at Washington State at times and stuff, but at Oklahoma, I'm sure it's a different level of noise that sometimes you maybe hear or don't hear. But have you learned anything about yourself and kind of blocking out that noise or taking on that criticism?
Yeah, I mean, you learn something about yourself every season, and I think that's something I've learned. Last year wasn't perfect, and this year it hasn't been perfect, and that's football, and that's okay. But I'm still 21 years old. I'm learning myself as a man and as a Christian, and so yeah, I've learned a lot, and it's okay. I think the noise, I've done a good job blocking it out, and that's not what bothers me. It's the product on the field.
If there's one thing about the Oklahoma offense that I do feel like is going to come back to form, it's John Mateer.
Yeah, you hope.
It's a different question, though, when you're talking about starting two freshman offensive tackles, talking about playing at Neyland Stadium where, let's be honest, they've played in Philly, obviously, with the Temple game. Not much of an atmosphere. Thank you to the people of Philly. What about
South Carolina?
South Carolina, it was okay. I wouldn't say it's going to be anything in comparison to what they're going to find on Saturday night, which makes everything else that they do that much more important. That communication specifically is something that they get taken care of before the snap.
Yeah, I would assume they're going to do some silent count stuff.
Is that something that John Mateer would excel at, though, being that he has somewhat been through the ringer before? Not necessarily in front of a crowd like this, but he's had to, at least a veteran guy, right?
And it does seem like, at least watching him this year, he's very vocal, getting up to the line, making sure everybody hears what the call is if they're changing things and things of that nature. I'm interested, do they keep doing the clap snap count, which has been something they've done all year, or do you switch it up and do some sort of silent count or what it is? But, it's going back to that 2015 game. Wasn't it Orlando Brown? He had a few penalties in that game, if I remember correctly, and he was I think he was a redshirt freshman, his first road start, and ended up playing pretty well in that game. But talk about a big ask for Michael Fasusi and Ryan Foje this week.
We talked to Ryan Foje earlier this week, as well as Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer, about the communication aspect going into Saturday evening.
No, I haven't, but it's going to be awesome. They're going to be in their cool jerseys, and I'll admit they're pretty cool jerseys, but it's a night game, and this is every kid dreams about playing in this game on this date, it's awesome.
I'm ready, especially it's a night game too. I'm ready to, go out having a fun experience and play with my team.
How much does it help the road games that you guys already had, in particular, obviously Columbia? Does it feel like the team maybe you've kind of done it a little bit, you have an idea of what you need to do to go on the road and handle that sort of thing?
I feel like the communication and practice need to be like 10,000% louder and focus the detail on everything we do, especially going on the road in the SEC.
Can that stuff be simulated? I know that you guys work on it throughout practice, but it's not comparable once you get out to Neyland or wherever it may be, the communication?
Yeah, I think our EQ team sometimes use like speakers in practice to make it louder somewhat, it can be simulated in some ways like that.
Yeah, I think it's just a heightened sense of urgency to the communication aspect. In any game, communication is key, but whenever you're somewhere, like Neyland Stadium, where, it's known across the country to be an unbelievable environment with passionate fans, your communication has to be an urgency, and there's different mechanisms that you can use to do that. I'm not going to just totally get into all of that, but there's different mechanisms that you can use to make sure that the operation is clean and efficient as possible. But it takes discipline from us, from our players, and it takes a heightened sense of urgency to make sure that you run the play clean, efficient, and get it off. And so different mechanisms that you can use, but definitely a priority that we have to be really in tune with.
I think just keeping your poise, knowing that it's still the game. You got to play to the game. You can't get all caught up in how loud it is and, momentum swings because of the crowd. It's still football. It's first and 10, 11 on 11.
How about making calls, though, in that kind of noise?
Yeah, you just got to go up to each lineman and really be clear and make sure everybody knows. And it's not a challenge, but it's it'll be fun.
You mentioned getting to the ball into space for people, obviously with Tennessee's somewhat inability to bring a ball carrier down. You would think that would play into Oklahoma's hands offensively, right? If you're going to be running some of those screen passes, trying to get them in rhythm early.
It just feels like, though, Eddie, doesn't it, that every time you're like, well, the offense should find some success, they're going to go out there and Tennessee's defense is going to be like, wow, where did this come from? They're going to look great, and OU's not going to be able to move the football, and then obviously OU's defense won't be able to stop things. But that's what runs through your head, where it's like, once you think you know something, you don't. That's how I felt last week against Ole Miss for Oklahoma. It was like, well, you should find some offensive success.
Sure.
And they couldn't until really the second half, and it was mostly just Xavier Robinson. So you think on paper, OU should be able to go in there. John Mateer should have a great day. True freshman quarterback at Kentucky went out there and played great last week against this
Cutter Boley.
Yeah, I think he threw 5 touchdowns in that game. So you would assume a guy like John Mateer could go in and have a nice day, but you just never know in college football. And like I said earlier in the show, I think they're going to need a couple turnovers. They're going to have to win that battle. I don't think there is a scenario, Eddie, that Oklahoma walks out of there with a win and lost the turnover battle.
I would agree.
Or even turnover battle.
Sure.
I don't know if they can win on the road like that in this environment. So they're going to have to do that. They can't turn the ball over, obviously. And I think this offense is going to have to score, for the first time in the SEC, over 30 points to win this game.
It's a big ask, isn't it? Just in terms of run game, real quick, I know that it was something that we talked about on Tuesday's program. Ben Arbuckle talked about it. Xavier Robinson was obviously a positive last week when you're talking about Oklahoma offensively in a game that there were very few positives. you certainly would think that he's going to have a bigger, larger role this weekend.
Yeah, I think he and Blaylock. I think Blaylock will still be a big part of the game plan, and you're going to see both of those guys. But yeah, I think turning around and handing the ball off, again, that's the quarterback's best friend,
Sure.
right? In terms of when he's struggling and not seeing the field, if you can just turn around and pick up even 3 yards a carry, 4 yards a carry, you'll take that if you're Oklahoma. So I think that that's certainly an area that Oklahoma can excel in. It's something Tennessee's not been great at, stopping the run this year, especially in the middle, that's where Oklahoma likes to run the ball, is some of that inside stuff. So I do think that'll be a big part of the game plan for OU.
Oklahoma offensive line, very, very important.
Huge.
To the overall success. And the irony...
And I think they've been playing decent the last few weeks. Like, I don't think they've been like the number one issue for Oklahoma offensively.
No doubt about it. Starts at the quarterback position. Going to be fascinating come Saturday evening when we talk to you from Neyland Stadium for an instant reaction. That's going to do it for the Game Day Preview. A big one coming up on Saturday night in Knoxville, Tennessee. 6:30 kickoff on ABC. For George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you back here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.